Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, best place for long-term stock investors. In this video, I'm going to share with you what I think about the upcoming election and of course, how you should position yourself as an investor. Specifically, I'm going to talk about what's roughly happening, what not to do, and what to do as well. Now, as a disclaimer, none of what I say should be taken as financial advice. If you want that sort of advice, please speak to a professional. And I also do not own any of the stocks mentioned on the slides. Alright guys, if you didn't know, we have a free masterclass just for you where we train you how you can build a 6 to 7 figure portfolio using the power of stock investing. If that's something you're interested in, you can sign up for the masterclass in the comment section or the description. Alright guys, so let me start a little bit on what's happening. Election, right? UMNO confirms that GE15 must be held this year, and by this year obviously we mean 2022. This is GE15. Now I have no special opinion as to whether or not it will happen this year or it will happen next year. Whenever it is, I think it's smart that we actually prepare for this eventuality, right? The election's got to come. So here is, I would say, the standard advice that most people give whenever they want you to learn how to invest during an election, right? And a lot of it makes somewhat a lot of surface sense. So the first one is you go and determine which party is going to win. Number two, you avoid stocks that's linked to the loser party, and then you buy stocks linked to the winner party. And of course, magically, third step is that you profit. Now, here's what I think, or why I think that method, although sounds good in theory, is actually a lot more challenging than you think. I think the first thing is that the winners for this coming election, at least to me, is not as clear-cut anymore. If you look at our parliament, right, last time it used to be mostly blue. Today it's very mixed and, it's pretty split, right? So that's really one big question mark. Now, but let's say, I'm hearing the market that, hey, BN is going to win. And by the way, guys, if you want to hear our thoughts on what happens if BN wins, go check out this video we did on Prime Minister Najib when he was announced that he was going to jail up here. Now, let's say if BN wins, right? The next challenge, next question mark is, okay, who actually will be in charge, right? Because Ismail Sabri is not Zahid, is not Najib's, right? Just because a company has been linked to BN in the past doesn't mean that if BN wins, they're going to have the same kind of rewards and the same kind of, relationship with them. So that's the second question mark. And so that's the thing about these two question marks, right? It's really complicated, and unless you have special insider information, you're probably not going to be able to confidently put on investments or trades before this election, or at least that is my opinion. Alright guys, if you're interested in working with us on a private one-on-one basis to improve your stock investing skills, we have the perfect solution for you. That is our Mentorship Program. You can actually apply it in the comment section or the description. Now, key thing is that not every one of you will hop into an interview. Only 20% of you ever get to be interviewed by us. And even if you actually hop on the program, it's an exclusive program. But if you're interested and if you're confident that you can qualify for it, go ahead and apply. So if the standard advice, in my opinion, doesn't really work, what do I actually think will work and how I would do it, okay? So I like to explain my point of view based on a mistake that I made during GE14, which is in 2018, the infamous 2018 elections. Now, the stock I want to highlight on is MyEG. So MyEG was a stock that at that point in time I had been looking at. I've still been looking at MyEG. It's a great business, and of course during 2018, the price of MyEG actually dropped by almost 75%. So at that point in time, I wasn't holding any of MyEG, and this was exactly the point in time, this arrow right here. All right. So dropped 75%. I never bought it before. At that point in time, wondering whether I should go in or not. So as I said earlier on as well, I always knew it was a great business, right? It's in, for those of you who don't know, they do things like foreign worker registrations, car road tax and things like that. Very plain vanilla, but something that everybody needs, something that the government needs, something that the rakyat needs. So they were very good at that. Still is very good at that. However, if you follow the market, you know that the company is linked a lot to Rosmah, which is the wife of our former PM, Najib, right? And I was afraid of all these links, and I wasn't really comfortable, right, owning, even though I thought it was a good business, at a 75% discount, you can call it. Now, at that point in time, I did the math. Roughly, it was 8 times earnings. Now, this is for a business, right, that had a recurring business model, right? Very rare you find companies that, churn cash, year in, year out, to be trading at 8 times earnings. And it was statistically, or at least rationally, it was very attractive. However, as I said earlier on, I did not pull the trigger because of all these political links and all that. Even though inside I like, hey, you should do it. So what has happened, right? What happened was that because of my inaction, I lost out on a 121% gain in the span of less than 5 years, which, if you do the math, is something like a 16 to 17% compounded annual growth rate returns over the period, and that would have done better than a lot of stocks, even foreign stocks, local stocks as well. So it's a big mistake that I didn't partake in, or rather, that it was a big mistake that I made. So why is it that I made the mistake, right? The first is that I forgot, or at least I did not pay attention to the exact business model of MyEG. So as I said earlier on, they're into all these road tax, all this very plain vanilla, but very crucial to the nation's functioning, right? If we don't pay road tax, government don't get any tax revenue, things like that. So the business model is actually what I call very sticky. Now, what do I mean, right? Is that, let's say, even if they did change government and, Rosmah is not in power and things like that, would any new government for that matter, actually want to disrupt this, right? Is that the thing that they really want to change? Because it's so entrenched in the system since, I think, 2007, 2008, MyEG was already, right, helping the government with all of this. And are they going to just change it and retender and find a new vendor just for all of this? Or are they going to say, you know what, we'll just leave you there? And that was the thing that I did not actually consider, because even in my own research, I was talking to people who had links with MyEG. They said that, they're actually doing a great job. And a key point is that I asked industry insiders, and they said that the government themselves say that if they look at what MyEG was doing, again, this is just private conversations, if they feel confident that they can actually do things cheaper than MyEG. Now, you might think, well, that's a threat to MyEG, right? Actually, it's not. It's actually proof that MyEG's position, at least at that point in time, was extremely secure. Why? Because imagine if the government can do things cheaper than MyEG and still allow MyEG to be there. What that implies to me, at least, is that the function of this road tax and this foreign worker registration is actually not something the government really wants to bother doing, right? If for those of your econ nerds out there, this is what we call comparative advantage, right? So that's why MyEG was a lot more secure, and I knew this beforehand, and I didn't actually make the investment, unfortunately. In contrast, there's another company called George Ken, who had a very different business model. They're into projects, they're into LRT trees and things like that, even up to today. And for businesses like that, they've not done well, right? Since GE, they've not rebounded. Now, even another company, which is Gamuda, they also had projects with the government. They had close links with the previous BN government. And they recovered, but their recovery was only maybe 60 to 70%. Definitely not 120%. Hey guys, enjoying the video? If the answer is yes, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Click on the notification bell so whenever new videos pop, you'll know it fresh. Okay, guys, so just as a summary, what should you be doing during the election? How should you prepare yourself? And of course, what you should not be doing. So the first thing you have to realize is that you do not actually have to participate prior to the general election. Right? You actually can stay out. Right? No action is also action. Nobody says that you must put on a position during this election. Now, unless you got some sort of special information that all of us don't know about, I would advise most people to actually stay out of the market in this case, right? Now, part of the reason is because, or at least the biggest reason is because that it's really, really complicated, right? As I said, even if you did know which party is going to win, you never know who are going to be their leaders, how is the shakeup going to happen, and that will have all sorts of effects on all the different companies. Now, the second thing is actually, you don't even have to participate, period, right? You can just treat the general election as just a normal event, right? Like National Day, things like that. And of course, there will be volatility going up and down, but you don't have to bother. You can actually stick with stocks that are not politically linked. Why do you have to have an opinion? Why must you participate in the general election? You don't have to do it. Now, again, I know a lot of you are watching this video, learning about the general election, which stocks to buy and avoid, because ultimately, this is a volatile event. And especially for you traders out there, volatility is opportunity, right? And especially short-term opportunity. And guess what? Who doesn't like short-term opportunities and short-term gains? But do remember that if you do participate, you will also be exposed to short-term, pretty big short-term losses as well. So that's the first thing you need to realize. Now, the second thing is to not lump all politically linked stocks in the same basket, right? Each of them are different, right? Different business model, and also linked to different politicians that you may be in power, may not be relevant, may be relevant, who knows? You need to treat each stock on a case-by-case basis, understand them well, make sure you know the management. And as I gave with the example just now on MyEG, which is point number 3, you want to be focusing on businesses that have recurring type business models. And more important than recurring type business models, they are painful to disrupt. For the government to find a replacement for MyEG is going to be very painful, especially when there's so many other bigger fish to fry. There's so many other more challenging things to accomplish outside rather than changing the road tax administrator, in this case MyEG. So these are the key things you need to consider. Don't make the mistake I made assuming you want to participate in the general election when it comes to the stock market, because again, as a reminder, you do not need to participate. Now guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly enjoyed making this video as well. If you have a friend or a family that is very interested in the general election and the stock market, please share this video with them. Follow us on our other social media like our Telegram, Instagram, and Facebook. Come watch some of our other videos, and I'll see you in the next video.